Hello, my spider friends. We're here today to talk about American Horror Story Season 10, the first half, Red Tide. I am an OG American Horror fan, been watching since Season 1. The quality of each season varies wildly. Anyone who is an American Horror fan knows this to be true. And Red Tide is seemingly no exception to the general consensus of American horror can't stick the landing. They're not good at endings, they're really not. And this time they only had a little season, a little half season to be able to wrap up a story, and even then, they failed. I've watched enough videos at this point now to know that I am not alone in the opinion that this wasn't very good. And there are some general complaints I'm sure that everyone will agree with, and some that other people will be like, oh, you're just nitpicking now. But I don't care. So there was a lot of unanswered questions left behind by Red Tide, and I don't think that it's not valid to ask these questions either, just because you've presented us with this information, Mr. Ryan Murphy, Mr. Felchuk, Mr. Manicoto, and you haven't answered it, and it's kind of your job, and it's sort of what you get paid for. So, question the first. What did Billy Lord do? Did she round up all of the pale people into her dentist's office and then did the teeth? Because according to the show's own timeline, Billy Lord's character was taking the pill 2 years after the first pale person. And the pale person, the first pale, all the pale people have the pointed teeth, which we know that the Billy Lord's character does as a dentist. So how on earth did that happen? I accept the first guy going and getting the 80s padded shoulder jacket for his unique Salem's Lot look, but where the hell did the rest of them, did she go around with coats in the graveyard going you're a pale person, here, have a coat, we want to all to match, it'll match the general aesthetic of Provincetown, and this will be very pleasing to Dennis O'Hare if you're all wearing matching outfits. We got a little bit of oh, they retreat into the woods in the summer. Why do they do this? The pills just, the little black barrels, they just don't make sense, I'm afraid. They just don't make sense. The whole idea of being talented is very vague. Creative, particularly when it comes to the character of Alma, who, that little actress, what a spectacular little actress she was that played Alma, because I really hated that kid. I really, really hated that kid. And she did a very good job of making me hate her. But you could say that Alma isn't actually creative, because she doesn't create anything. She is talented, she plays the violin. The actress doesn't play the violin, the character plays the violin. But having the ability to play something, it doesn't necessarily make you creative. She didn't create any unique music or anything like that. She just played other people's music. I played the violin as a child, so when I was watching it, it was extremely painful to see her not even holding the bow in the right position. Not having the right, it's sort of if you know how to play the guitar and you watch somebody faking how to play the guitar, with the whole, they don't really know what they're doing, but they're just moving the fingers and hoping it looks right. That's kind of what it was for the violin in this particular case, except when you play the violin, like, a lot of the things come from your bow hand, and she wasn't really taught how to mime it properly, which is not the actress's fault. It's certainly the production's fault. But yeah, like she just, it was a bad mime job. It was a bad mime job. And like there was no hero for this season. Like the closest we got to heroes were like Karen and Mickey, and then they killed them an episode too early. We never got to see Karen's masterpiece. We never got to see anything that the creative people actually created. We just got like, this is your Moby Dick, this is your Romeo and Juliet, this is your Tarantino, and we'll come back to Tarantino. But like, there was only like comparisons and not actual examples of this is why this is good. Because possibly they didn't have enough faith in their own writing to be able to prove that, which says many things. But yeah, there was the implication a few episodes earlier that Tarantino wanted Harry to write stuff because he was taking the black pill. But we know that the black pill's only been around for a few years, like 5 years. And if you're only saying that Tarantino's work from the last 5 years have been influenced by the black pill, that's not great advertisement, gonna be honest. Because I kind of think that Mr. Tarantino's best work is behind him now, but that's a controversial opinion, I accept it. But what I'm saying is that, like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and The Hateful Eight are not exactly Tarantino's most shining examples of his work, really. And I think other people will agree with that. So, yes. So we never got to see Karen's masterpiece. Did anyone care that Mickey and Karen died? Apparently not. They were nary mentioned again. Was Dennis O'Hare's character on the black pills? We don't know. That was not clear. Why were the red lights everywhere? Don't know. They didn't really explain that. If that's like a New England thing, you need to explain it, because not everyone lives in New England. I live in the OG England, the original England, the best England. There were as usual, many unanswered questions and many questionable story decisions, like Alma having the sharp and pointy teeth. Alma is 9 years old. She doesn't have a full set of adult teeth yet. It makes no sense to make them all super sharp. It's just that was stupid. That was really stupid. Her killing the violinist, like, was really stupid. And like that was the last thing we saw of Alma. We have no idea what happened to her after that. I did see that we had the juror from American Crime Story, the People versus O.J. Simpson, was the Philharmonic lady. What I recognised, I was like, I know you from the other show. And somehow, like, the worst people just got away with everything in this season, and that's not usually how American horror works. Usually people who've been awful kind of get their comeuppance, and they kind of didn't in this season. Ursula Khan, she was fine. The chemist drove off with the baby. She's like, you're my baby now, and the baby's like, well, I don't know any different, so I guess you're right. It wouldn't make sense that Ursula would just go around, like, handing out pills if, like, you're giving a pill to, like, Mickey, and Mickey produces a $3 million script, and as an agent you get 15% of that $3 million. Do you really need 12 million clients? I don't think you do. I think you'd be fine with, like, 20. Like, have we not learned the lessons of Jerry Maguire? Like, if you had like 20 really spectacular clients to that level, I think you'd be fine. I don't think you need to go around at Starbucks like handing out little black pills here, there, and everywhere. It's just not something that's necessary really in the plot. So yes, that is a thing. So the second half of season 10, Death Valley is allegedly connected to Red Tide, and we'll see what they're going to do there. But I think the question is, like, do we care? Like, American horror over the years has varied in quality, but usually there's kind of like a character who you can kind of get behind and root for, and in this season they all died. Those ones, similar to Murder House, I suppose, but in Murder House it was slightly different in that they were ghosts and they got to stick around after they were killed. Whereas in Red Tide, it's just like, oh, we forgot to exist now. Poor flippin' Doris. Oh, God, me fringe. Look at that mess. Poor Doris. Just like Lily Rabb. What a waste of Lily Rabb. She's got such an amazing talent, such a fantastic range. And they just stuck her in that role and then, like, forgot about her. She was only in, like, 4 episodes. That was just like a spectacular waste of a Lily Rabb, and also kind of a waste of an Evan Peters and a Frances Conroy, because they could have been some epic villains, and they weren't. I'm not sure what else I can actually say about it, like, that's not been said already. I mean, like, Ryan, could you maybe start taking some black pills, give some black pills to Manicoto, give some, like, to the other writers, maybe? Or, like, it's getting a bit dire. It really is. I'd love to kind of, like, take them by the shoulders and shake them and be like, this is not the way you do this. This is very poorly written. But that's kind of been American horror since the start, so I don't even know what I'm complaining about, really.